Extreme ownership is the defining trait of every great leader, every high performer, and every individual who refuses to settle for mediocrity. It is the ability to take complete, total, and absolute responsibility for everything in your life. Your actions, your results, your failures, and even the things that on the surface seem beyond your control. Because here's the truth. When you blame external factors, whether it's your past, your environment, your circumstances, or even other people, you are giving away your power. Ownership means that you no longer allow excuses to dictate your future. It means that no matter what happens, you look in the mirror and say, this is on me, and because it's on me, I can change it. When you adopt this mindset, something shifts. You stop waiting. You stop hoping that things will magically improve. You stop relying on external conditions to align before you take action. You wake up every single day with a fire inside you, knowing that you alone have the power to shape your destiny. Most people will never embrace this level of ownership because it's hard. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to confront the brutal truth that every result in your life is a direct reflection of your standards, your decisions, and your discipline. It requires you to acknowledge that if you are not where you want to be, it is no one else's fault but your own. That kind of realization can be painful, but on the other side of that pain is the greatest gift you can ever receive: the power to change anything and everything. When you take extreme ownership, you no longer waste time pointing fingers. You don't complain about what's unfair. You don't sit around talking about how life is hard, how the economy is struggling, how opportunities aren't coming your way. Instead, you take a hard look at where you are, identify what needs to change, and then you make the necessary adjustments. You adapt, you execute, you evolve. Let's talk about what this really looks like in action. Imagine two people face the exact same challenge. A business deal falls apart, a promotion is lost, or a relationship fails. The first person immediately looks for someone to blame. They find reasons why it wasn't their fault. They blame the market, the boss, the company, the economy, even fate itself. And because they refuse to take ownership, they also refuse to learn, to grow, or to improve. They stay stuck, repeating the same cycles over and over again. The second person, the one who embraces extreme ownership, reacts differently. They ask themselves, what could I have done differently? They look at their role in the situation. Maybe they didn't prepare enough. Maybe they didn't communicate their value effectively. Maybe they let fear hold them back. Instead of making excuses, they extract lessons. They analyze, they make adjustments, and because they take ownership, they gain something incredibly powerful: control over their future. Ownership doesn't just apply to big moments, it applies to the smallest, most routine aspects of your life. Your health, your mindset, your habits, your relationships. Every single one of these areas is a direct reflection of what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you commit to. If you're out of shape, it's not your genetics, your age, or your schedule. It's because you haven't prioritized your health. If your finances are a mess, it's not because of the economy or bad luck, it's because you haven't taken control of your financial decisions. If you're stuck in a job you hate, it's not because you're unlucky, it's because you haven't made the tough decisions to change your situation. And here's the raw truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you success, fulfillment, or happiness. You can't outsource responsibility for your life. The only person who can change your circumstances is the person staring back at you in the mirror. People who embrace extreme ownership operate on a different level. They don't get emotionally paralyzed when things don't go their way. They don't sit around feeling sorry for themselves. They take action. They move forward. They refuse to stay down. They are relentless in their pursuit of growth because they know that the moment they take full ownership, they unlock a level of freedom that most people will never experience. Extreme ownership is not about perfection. It's about never making excuses. It's about owning your strengths and your weaknesses, your victories and your failures. It's about developing the mindset that everything is within your control, even when it doesn't seem like it. Because when you decide that you are responsible for everything, you also realize that you have the ability to change anything. One of the greatest separators between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is the ability to make decisions in the face of uncertainty. The truth is, most people are waiting for the perfect conditions, waiting for more information, waiting for someone to give them permission. But waiting is the killer of momentum. It's the silent dream destroyer, because while you wait, opportunities pass, time slips away, and hesitation becomes a habit. Successful leaders, high achievers, and those who truly shape their own lives understand one fundamental truth: certainty is an illusion, but action is real. There will never be a moment where you have all the information, all the clarity, or all the guarantees. Life does not work that way. Decisions must be made without knowing all the variables. And that's what separates those who win from those who spend their lives wondering what could have been. Think about this. Every major breakthrough in history, whether in business, science, sports, or personal growth, came from someone choosing to move forward despite the unknowns. They had doubts, they had fears, they had people telling them to wait, to reconsider, to be cautious, but they understood something powerful. Momentum beats hesitation every time. What holds most people back from making decisions in uncertain situations? Fear, the fear of being wrong, the fear of failure, the fear of making a mistake that they can't recover from. But here's the reality. Indecision is a bigger mistake than making the wrong choice. When you hesitate, you stall. When you stall, you lose confidence. When you lose confidence, you become paralyzed. And while you're stuck in analysis paralysis, someone else, someone who understands the power of decisive action, is moving forward, gaining ground, and creating their future. Let's talk about the psychology of decisiveness. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. It wants to keep you safe, which means it constantly seeks comfort and avoids risk. But safety doesn't lead to growth. Safety doesn't lead to breakthroughs. Safety doesn't lead to greatness. The people who achieve extraordinary things in life are not the ones who waited for every light to turn green before they left the driveway. They're the ones who said, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going anyway. Now, does that mean you should make reckless decisions without thinking? Of course not. But it does mean that you need to develop the ability to assess a situation quickly, gather the best information available, and then move forward with conviction. Indecisiveness is a disease. It spreads into every part of your life. It kills confidence. It creates stress. It robs you of opportunities. Because when you hesitate, you send a message to yourself that you are not in control, that you are not capable, that you are not ready. And the more you hesitate, the stronger that message becomes. Decisive people understand that no decision is ever truly final. If they make the wrong call, they adjust, they pivot, they learn, they course correct as they go. That's why the most successful people don't dwell on, what if I make the wrong choice? Instead, they focus on, what can I learn from this? Because they know that taking action, even imperfect action, creates experience, and experience creates wisdom. Think about a fighter in the ring. They don't have time to analyze every possible move their opponent might make. They have to trust their training, make quick decisions, and adjust in real time. The same applies to business relationships and every other area of life. If you hesitate too long, you get knocked down, you miss your opening, you lose momentum. And once that happens, regaining your position becomes exponentially harder. There's another powerful element to decisiveness. It creates trust and influence. People follow those who exude confidence, and confidence is built through decisive action. When you make firm decisions, you send a message to yourself and to those around you that you are someone who can be counted on, that you are a leader, that you are capable of making things happen, even when the path ahead is unclear. Most people let uncertainty become their excuse. They say, I'll start when I'm sure. I'll invest when I know it's a sure thing. I'll take the risk when I have more information. But the truth is, they will never be sure. They will never have 100% of the information. And by the time they feel ready, the opportunity will be gone. Decisiveness isn't about always making the right choice. It's about trusting yourself enough to make a choice and commit to it. It's about understanding that success is built through motion, not hesitation. It's about recognizing that in an uncertain world, the greatest power you have is the ability to act. Emotional mastery is the foundation of personal power, the key to influence, and the secret weapon of every high achiever. If you cannot control your emotions will control you. If you cannot direct your feelings, they will dictate your decisions, your behaviors, and ultimately your destiny. And here's the raw truth. Most people are completely ruled by their emotions without even realizing it. They react instead of respond. They allow external circumstances to dictate their inner state. They live in a constant loop of stress, frustration, anxiety, and doubt, never realizing that they have the ability to take full command of their emotional world. When you master your emotions, you master your life. Because every decision you make, every action you take, and every relationship you build is influenced by the way you feel in the moment. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about understanding them, directing them, and using them as fuel instead of letting them become chains that hold you back. It's about recognizing that no situation has power over you, only your perception of it does. Think about the most influential leaders, speakers, and visionaries in history. What made them powerful wasn't just their knowledge or skills. It was their ability to control their emotions and influence the emotions of others. Influence doesn't come from words alone. It comes from energy, certainty, and conviction. And all of that stems from emotional mastery. When you walk into a room, people don't just hear what you say, they feel your presence. If you are consumed by fear, doubt, or hesitation, people will sense it, and you will never be able to lead, inspire, or create true impact. Most people operate on emotional autopilot. They wake up in the morning and immediately check their phones, letting emails, social media, and news dictate their mood. They react to their environment instead of shaping it. They get frustrated when things don't go their way. They get discouraged when they face setbacks, and they allow external events to determine how they feel. That is not mastery. That is slavery. Emotional mastery is the ability to decide at any moment, under any circumstance, how you are going to feel, how you're going to respond, and what energy you are going to bring to the table. It is the ability to shift your emotional state instantly, no matter what is happening around you. Because here's the truth, your emotions are not random. They are the result of your focus, your physiology, and the meaning you assign to events. Let's break this down. Focus. But you focus on you feel. If you constantly focus on what's missing, what's wrong, or what's out of your control, you will feel powerless. But if you train your mind to focus on solutions, opportunities, and the things you can control, you will feel empowered. The difference between someone who is stuck in negativity and someone who thrives under pressure is what they choose to focus on. Physiology, your body affects your emotions more than you realize. If you slump your shoulders, breathe shallowly, and move sluggishly, your mind will interpret that posture as weakness and respond with low energy and negative emotions. But if you stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with purpose, you send a powerful message to your brain. I am in control. I am strong. I am unstoppable. Meaning, nothing in life has meaning except the meaning you give it. Two people can experience the same event. One sees it as a devastating failure. The other as a valuable lesson. One sees rejection as proof they aren't good enough. The other sees it as redirection towards something better. Your emotions are not based on events. They are based on the story you tell yourself about those events. Change the story and you change your emotional experience. Now let's talk about influence, because emotional mastery doesn't just impact your personal life, it determines your ability to lead, persuade, and inspire others. If you want to influence people, you must first master yourself. Influence is not about manipulation, it's about alignment. People are drawn to those who radiate confidence, passion, and certainty. They follow those who can make them feel something powerful. And that means if you want to lead, you must first become a master of emotions, your own and others. Great influencers know how to shift the emotional state of a room the moment they step into it. They understand that logic alone does not drive action, emotion does. Think about the last time you made a big decision. Did you analyze every single detail with pure logic, or did your emotions play a role? Every major breakthrough, every bold decision, every life-changing commitment is fueled by emotion. If you can control your emotions, you can create energy, and if you can create energy, you can influence anyone. But here's where most people get stuck. They let their emotions be controlled by circumstances instead of taking charge of their emotional state. They let a bad day dictate their attitude. They let one setback define their self-worth. They let the fear of failure stop them from even trying. That is the opposite of mastery. Mastering your emotions doesn't mean you never feel fear, doubt, or frustration. It means you don't let those emotions control you. You acknowledge them, you shift your focus, you change your physiology, and you assign a new meaning that empowers you instead of limiting you. It's about training yourself to enter peak emotional states on command rather than waiting for external validation or perfect conditions. And the best part, emotional mastery is a skill. It's not something you're born with. It's something you develop. Just like training a muscle, you can train your brain and body to respond differently. You can condition yourself to stay calm under pressure, to turn setbacks into fuel, to maintain unshakable confidence no matter what life throws at you. Because in the end, it's not the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented who succeed. It's those who control their emotions, direct their energy, and use their influence to create impact. Resilience and adaptability are the two pillars of unstoppable success. If you do not develop these skills, life will crush you. Challenges will break you. Unexpected changes will leave you stuck, confused, and powerless. But if you build the muscle of resilience, if you cultivate the ability to adapt, there is nothing that can keep you down for long. Because here's the truth. Life will not go as planned. The marketplace will shift, people will betray you, the economy will change, your body will age. Obstacles will appear when you least expect them. And those who are rigid, those who expect everything to go their way, will collapse under pressure. But those who have conditioned their minds to be resilient and adaptable, they thrive, they rise, they dominate. Resilience is not about avoiding failure, it's about getting back up, no matter how many times you fall. It's about refusing to stay down when life knocks you to your knees. It's about developing an inner toughness so strong that no amount of pain, rejection, or uncertainty can break you. And adaptability is the ability to adjust to whatever comes your way, to shift your strategy, to pivot instead of panic, to evolve instead of resisting change. Together, these two qualities separate those who succeed from those who stay stuck in mediocrity. Most people are fragile. The first sign of struggle, and they crumble. The first obstacle in their path, and they quit. They let fear dictate their decisions. They let circumstances define their limits. They say, this is too hard, this is unfair, I can't handle this. And that mindset is exactly why they fail. Because success does not belong to those who are easily shaken. Success is reserved for those who can take a hit and keep moving forward. Look at history. Look at the greatest leaders, the most successful entrepreneurs, the champions, the innovators. None of them had it easy. Every single one of them faced failure, adversity, and situations that could have destroyed them. But what made them different? They refused to break. They refused to let circumstances define them. They adapted, they fought, they found a way. Let's talk about what resilience really means. Resilience is not just about toughing it out. It's about conditioning your mind to handle stress, pressure, and setbacks without falling apart. It's about recognizing that pain is temporary, but quitting is permanent. It's about understanding that no matter what happens, you always have the power to respond in a way that moves you forward. And adaptability, that's the secret weapon of every great leader, every successful business, every individual who has ever thrived in an unpredictable world. Adaptability means you don't just survive change, you leverage it. You don't just endure uncertainty, you use it to your advantage. You don't just wait for things to return to normal, you evolve, you innovate, you move forward stronger than before. So why do so many people struggle with resilience and adaptability? Because they're conditioned to seek comfort. They're trained to expect predictability. They think life should be smooth, that success should be linear, that if something is difficult, it must not be meant for them. But reality doesn't work that way. Life is chaos, business is uncertain, the world is always shifting, and those who cling to what was instead of embracing what is will always fall behind. Think about technology. How many companies failed because they refused to adapt? Blockbuster could have dominated streaming, but they resisted change, and now they're gone. Nokia was once the king of mobile phones, but they didn't evolve fast enough and they lost everything. The same happens to individuals. The people who refuse to learn new skills, who resist change, who cling to the past, who fear uncertainty, they are the ones who get left behind. Adaptability is about embracing uncertainty, becoming a master of change instead of a victim of it. It's about shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, understanding that no matter what happens, you have the ability to adjust, to learn, to find new solutions, to create new opportunities. And that requires flexibility, creativity, and an unshakable belief in your own ability to figure things out. Now let's talk about the mental conditioning required to develop resilience and adaptability. Because these are not traits you are simply born with, they are skills you train. Just like going to the gym builds physical strength, deliberately putting yourself in challenging situations builds mental strength. You have to expose yourself to discomfort. You have to train yourself to thrive under pressure. You have to reprogram your brain to see obstacles not as threats, but as opportunities for growth. There are three key components to developing resilience and adaptability. Emotional mastery. If you allow emotions like fear, frustration, and self-doubt to control you, you will never be resilient. You must learn to manage your emotional state, to stay calm under pressure, to reframe failures as lessons instead of defeats. The moment you control your emotions, you take back your power. Resourcefulness. The most adaptable people don't sit around complaining about what they lack. They find a way. They don't have enough money, they get creative. They don't have the right connections, they build relationships. They don't have experience, they learn, they practice, they grow. Adaptability is about seeing solutions where others see problems. Relentless action. Resilient and adaptable people do not wait for perfect conditions. They move forward no matter what. They don't overthink. They don't hesitate. They don't let fear paralyze them. They take action, they adjust as they go, and they keep moving forward until they find a way. If you are not resilient, if you are not adaptable, life will feel like an uphill battle. Every setback will seem overwhelming. Every challenge will feel like a dead end. Every unexpected change will throw you off course. But when you train your mind to be resilient, when you develop the ability to adapt, nothing can shake you. You become unbreakable, unstoppable, a force of nature that bends but never breaks. The essence of leadership lies in mastering extreme ownership, decisiveness and uncertainty, emotional mastery, resilience and adaptability. These are not just skills but transformational forces that separate the extraordinary from the average. True leaders own every aspect of their lives, make bold decisions despite uncertainty, control their emotions instead of being controlled by them, and rise stronger from adversity. Great life will test you, but your ability to take responsibility, stay decisive, manage emotions, and adapt will determine your destiny. When you embody these principles, you don't just lead, you create impact, command respect, and shape your future on your terms.